CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Traffic disruptions are expected to continue tomorrow morning in northeast London after a large sinkhole opened up last night. A water main had given way underneath a major intersection. With more on today's repair operation, here's Sean Irvin.
To get at a collapsed water main at the intersection of Huron and Highbury. The pipe collapsed just before 3 a.m. Tuesday, creating a large sinkhole, as seen in this video posted to social media. Responding crews shut the water off quickly. By morning, they were able to determine that an older cast iron pipe carrying drinking water had failed.
16-inch water main isn't our biggest by any means, but it's not our smallest either. And of course, the larger the pipe, the more water comes out and the more damage it does.
As the old pipe was lifted, plans were already underway to get a new one in the ground.
We're prepared to get them all fixed up and back up and running as soon as possible.
Traffic was both a considerable safety concern and an inconvenience throughout the day as drivers attempted to get to multiple plazas where some of the businesses were forced to close. Angela Knox just wanted some lunch. But no soup for you.
No soup for me, not today, no.
The break forced not only the soup and sandwich place to close, but also a pizza shop next door and a bank in the same plaza. Across the way, a popular hamburger restaurant could not operate. Some businesses were able to open, but their customers were impacted by the road closures.
I had to go all the way around down McNay and all the way around down Cheapside, kind of cut through the Walmart, and here I am.
The city understands the frustration, but concedes that water main breaks will happen.
And sometimes they're in very inconvenient spots. And this one just happens to be a pretty major intersection.
Just a few months ago, another break further up Highbury caused traffic disruptions. But scenes like this are not uncommon to Londoners. The most infamous break occurred nearly 20 years ago at Dundas in Wellington. Then a 10-meter deep hole forced major downtown offices to close for a few days. But this time, the response will be quicker.
Our crews will continue working until the water is restored to customers and ready to get asphalted and get this intersection back open.
In London, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
Conservationists pushed back at City Hall tonight against a developer's plan to build 4 high-rises on Commissioners Road near the Westminster Ponds.
We're very excited by the opportunity to develop this site and build several hundred rental housing units.
There are so few beautiful areas of London left. We do not need to burn down what little remains of the forest city to keep corporate landlords warm.
I think that it should be maintained as open space. The Westminster Ponds area is the largest environmentally significant area in London.
Auburn Developments has proposed 4 14-story apartment buildings on Commissioners Road west of Adelaide. Current zoning for the site actually permits industrial development to the edge of the environmentally significant area. So the mayor suggested the planning committee accept the developer's proposal, placing the buildings close to the road and donating land at the rear of the property to expand the Westminster Ponds ESA.
The reality of today is this site can be developed in a way that you probably would disagree with more. And if there's an opportunity for us to absorb a good portion of this site through a development agreement that allows for some density into the city's hands and expand the ESA and protect that portion of it that's transferred to the city forever, that's not a bad pathway moving forward.
City councillors might consider enacting a tenant assistance and relocation program when affordable rental units are demolished, making way for new development.
As we continue to see and support growth and intensification in the city, I believe we also have a responsibility to ensure that the people calling these places homes are not left behind in this process.
Councillor Skylar Frank says tenants of relatively affordable apartment buildings have few protections if their landlord decides to demolish their home for redevelopment. Other cities in Ontario require landlords to offer financial compensation, moving expenses, rent top-ups, or the right to return to a similar rent. The Planning Committee asked staff to prepare a report with options for early next year. Officials with Rural Roads Health Services in Oxford County say they're eliminating several personal support worker positions at the Tillsonburg Hospital. They say it's about updating their care model for patients with complex needs. Brian Bicknell reports.
There's a lot of tears still. It's still new and fresh, so we're still kind of taking it in and trying to figure out what to do with it.
Personal support worker Jennifer McMaster will soon be out of a job. She says she's one of 26 PSWs at Rural Roads Tillsonburg Memorial Hospital to receive notice her position will be eliminated as of September.
No one's happy with it. Nobody wants this. The nurses love us. They love our support. They know who to call. Like they're going to have a hard time once they have no support. So it's going to be rough.
McMaster says the job losses impact those with decades of experience as well as many who are relatively new to the field. In 2024, the Ford government announced a plan to train more than 32,000 new PSWs and nurses over 3 years, helping to fill a gap in long-term care in the province. The hospital group declined our request for an interview, instead directing us to a news release which essentially says that patients now require a more complex level of care than what PSWs can provide. In part, it says patients now require more frequent nursing assessments, complex medication management, and timely clinical interventions that fall within the scope of practice of nurses.
They knew him by first name, and they learned pretty quick what his needs were.
Area resident Dan Harbour says his elderly father recently left the hospital after being there for 5 months waiting for a long-term care bed.
He needed to be somewhere, and they didn't have a bed for him in a long-term care place, and he couldn't be at home because he needed 24-hour care, so the doctor thought it best that he be at the hospital.
In the meantime, the hospital group says it plans to release more information on changes to its model of care later this week.
I'm hoping they give us some options that we can maybe fight for a little more time.
Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
Emergency responders say one person was taken to hospital after a driver crashed into a store on Warncliffe Road. Police say it happened at the Lazy Boy store around 12:30 this afternoon. An SUV was partially inside the store, surrounded by broken glass. There's been no word on any possible charges. Provincial police say they've charged a teenager from Central Elgin accused of causing a fatal crash last fall. The crash happened in November involving a car and a grain truck just east of St. Thomas. A 17-year-old girl, Hadley Dennison, eventually died from her injuries sustained in the crash. Police say the 17-year-old person driving the sedan has been charged with careless driving causing death, and they cannot be identified under the Youth Criminal Justice Act. A sentencing hearing today for a woman convicted of defrauding her own mother out of her residential school settlement worth $150,000. As Nick Paparella reports, her lawyers are requesting the sentence be stayed because of lengthy delays throughout the case.
56-year-old Ursula Dockstader was found guilty of fraud over $5,000 and uttering forged documents 11 months ago. This after the courts found that Dockstader ripped off her own elderly mother, Caroline, after she cashed her mom's $150,000 check that she received as part of her residential school class action lawsuit from the Canadian government in the summer of 2023. The court heard that Dockstader, a former Oneida of the Thames First Nation band counselor, got a hold of the check and put it in her own bank account because she was power of attorney. The money was all but gone in a matter of weeks. In her victim impact statement via Zoom, a tearful Caroline Dockstader told the hearing of the heartache and anguish that she has experienced at the hands of her only remaining child, saying, "I trusted her completely. What occurred was far more than financial. It was a serious breach of trust and exploitation of my personal trauma and a disruption of the fragile peace I have struggled to reconstruct." She went on, "The impact of this crime has been profound. The betrayal deeply affected me, resurfacing old wounds." Defense lawyer Karen Simpson told the court that the sentencing should be stayed because of a lengthy delay in getting a GLADU report completed in this case. It's a specialized pre-sentence report for Indigenous offenders that examines their background. If the judge rejects the application, the defense says Dockstader should only receive a conditional sentence. Meanwhile, Crown Attorney Jeremy Carnegie is asking that the application be denied, saying that Dockstader should receive 2 years in custody. The sentencing hearing resumes on Thursday. Nick Paparella, CTV News.
Stratford police say they've charged a developmental support worker in St. Mary's after a 40-year-old woman died suddenly last month at a supportive living residence. With more on the ensuing investigation, here's Colton Weens.
A developmental support worker is facing 2 charges after a 40-year-old woman died last month at a supportive living residence in St. Mary's. Emergency responders were called to a residence that is owned and operated by Community Living St. Mary's and area on March 11th.
The result of the call was a sudden death of one of the residents in the home. As a result of an investigation into that death, police have charged the developmental support worker was at that home in care of the individual who passed away.
According to police, Perth County paramedics tried to save the woman's life, but she was pronounced dead shortly after police officers arrived. On Monday, police announced a support worker has been charged with criminal negligence causing death and failing to provide the necessaries of life.
The worker was arrested on April 1st. And was released on an undertaking.
Community Living says the staff member involved is no longer with the organization, and after reviewing their procedures and protocols, they can confirm there is no ongoing risk to the health or safety of anyone the organization supports.
This was an isolated incident. There is no further cause of concern for anybody in the care of Community Living.
In an email to CTV News, Community Living's executive directors say upon learning of this incident, we took immediate steps to respond, including notifying the appropriate authorities and the family of the individual involved. We fully cooperated with the authorities as they investigated the matter. While the chair of the agency's board of directors tells CTV News the investigation focused on the conduct of the individual staff member who is no longer with the organization, saying on behalf of the board of directors, we wish to share our condolences with the family of the community member who passed away, as well as our own grief at this loss. The worker charged in the death is expected to appear in Stratford Court on May 11th. Colton Weens, CTV News, St. Mary's.
The federal government announced some relief at gas stations today in the form of a tax break, dropping prices 10 cents a liter starting Monday. However, as Abigail Beeman reports, there's skepticism about the long-term impact of these savings.
Fresh off 3 by-election wins, Mark Carney's first act as leader of a now majority government suspending the federal gas excise tax.
It's real relief for you and your family at the end of the day.
Starting Monday, expect to see pump prices drop by 10 cents until Labor Day, 4 cents for diesel and aviation fuel also included.
This is a big decision in terms of fiscal expense, and so we balance that given the situation.
The Prime Minister pegs the cost at $2.4 billion, hoping things will improve in the Middle East before the end of summer. The war led to a massive gas price spike.
Not good enough. Canadians cannot afford to gas their tanks. We want all gas taxes eliminated for the rest of the year to save Canadian families $1,200.
It's a temporary quick fix.
This analyst says to lower prices long term, you need to lower demand, which means keeping prices high.
But the federal government has decided to go take the easy route and wave a 10-cent drop in front of the electorate. And good luck with that.
While many Canadians across the country tell us every cent counts.
It's disgusting. Poor people that need their cars to go to work every day or bring their kids to nursery. It's not fair.
Even just like when your car is at a red light for too long, you're like, oh my goodness, my gas is running out.
Oh, bravo to Mark Carney.
Next week is going to be 10 cents cheaper.
Right. That's why I got $15 today. Usually I fill it.
I think it's good, but I think it should be fair all the time.
CTV News also reached out to the airlines, which all say relief is welcome. Air Canada said it can't predict future prices with a volatile Middle East. WestJet said more measures are needed for meaningful relief, while Porter said the drop will have an impact on overall operating costs and be represented as part of total airfare. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Provincial government officials say they're planning to expand Ontario's prisons in the coming decades, an effort they say is about dealing with overcrowding issues. Siobhan Morris reports.
Ontario's setting out on an expensive building spree meant to add capacity to an overflowing jail system. Right now, Ontario has about 2,000 more inmates than beds.
I don't care if you stack them 10 high. These are criminals that broke the law.
The plan is for 6,000 more jail beds by 2050. That's according to documents obtained through Freedom of Information by University of Ottawa researchers.
My number one concern is making sure we protect the correctional service officers that are in there. You know, I'm not building Four Seasons hotels for criminals that should be in jail.
The Premier says modular builds are on the table. Brand new jails and refurbishments are in the pipeline.
We're looking at reopening the Brantford jail and the Walkerton jail, and I'm close to having some news in the months ahead about that. That's going to bring hundreds of beds online.
Critics warn adding more beds won't fix all the problems in Ontario jails. Those facilities are mostly full of people still waiting for their day in court.
The government has completely failed to address overcrowding in jails because of their underinvestment in our court system. And as a result, a number of hardened criminals are getting out.
With judges acknowledging inhumane conditions behind bars when considering sentencing or granting bail.
And that's not safe for inmates or for correctional officers. I just question why this government never seems to look at any of the upstream solutions.
The expected multi-billion-dollar bill for more and expanded jails
will cost the government and taxpayers more money than if they would build supportive housing and treatment centers to help people.
Doug Ford is undeterred.
Those billions of dollars is well invested to make sure our communities are safe.
At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Still ahead, an elevated flying experience. The updates announced by Air Canada in the name of luxury. Will they come at the expense, though, of the economy experience? Canada's main stock index was up on strength in the technology sector. The TSX gained 223 points. In New York, the Dow added 318, the Nasdaq up 455. The Canadian dollar gained more than a quarter cent today. On commodity markets, gold gained almost $83 an ounce. Oil lost $7.80 a barrel. Many in eastern Ontario and western Quebec felt an underground jolt around lunchtime today. Officials with Earthquakes Canada say a magnitude 3.9 quake hit near Shawville, Quebec, about 80 kilometers northwest of Ottawa. There have been no reports of any major damage. Israeli and Lebanese officials held their first direct talks in decades today in the midst of fighting between the Israeli military and the Iranian-backed Hezbollah. Meanwhile, Pakistani authorities are proposing a second round of talks between the U.S. and Iran, days after talks broke off, threatening the fragile ceasefire between those two nations. Today, President Donald Trump said those talks could resume in the next 2 days, but the Iranians have said Israel's campaign against Hezbollah must be included in any agreement to end the wider war. The federal Liberals swept all three by-elections yesterday, securing a majority government for Prime Minister Mark Carney. However, the results also suggest support for the Conservative Party under Pierre Poilievre is sliding. Rachel Aiello reports.
After scoring an electoral hat trick, Prime Minister Mark Carney hit the ice today, recharged. Not the case for Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, who, after being dealt double-digit defeats in all three by-elections, felt compelled to assert he's not going anywhere.
I will continue to lead that fight in this House, across this country, and in the next election.
The Conservatives' vote share shrunk by more than 10% in all three ridings, even dropping to third place in the downtown Toronto race.
I think for the Conservatives, the message that they should be receiving last night is whatever their strategy was doesn't work.
While Conservatives say these three ridings were not Poilievre's to win, they know the downward trend isn't a good sign for the party.
It leaves them in a less, well, let's say a weakened position relative to where they, have been.
If you were Mr. Poilievre, would you quit today?
I don't. That's an unfair question. I don't. can't look into the heart of Mr. Poilievre. I respect him as a parliamentarian, as I do the other leaders of the other parties.
In closely watched Terrebonne, the Conservative decline boosted both Bloc Québécois and Liberal votes.
We lost because they had more votes than we did.
It was a slightly better night for the NDP, while support for Avi Lewis's party slipped in Quebec. Their vote share was up in both Ontario ridings, including University Rosedale, where the NDP candidate placed second.
I think that that's a massive opportunity for the NDP under Avi to say, if you want the government to worry about regular folks, we're the party to do that.
A Carney majority does give the opposition parties more time to improve their political fortunes. But if any more Conservative MPs cross the floor to the Liberals, the fate of Poilievre's political future may rest with his caucus, who today said they still support him. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Good evening. Extremely mild overnight with the risk of showers and thunderstorms. As you head out the door tomorrow morning, make sure you have your umbrella. But look at the temperature first thing in the morning, 15 degrees, southwest winds. Thanks, Teresa, for this photo of Hank and Steve. If you guys are heading out for a walk, make sure you have your rain gear handy. Stay with us. I'll have all your local weather details coming up in just a few minutes.
Welcome back on the desk with Julie Atchison now after another balmy day. Even a bit of humidity, it felt like. A little muggy.
Yeah, temperatures feeling like the upper 20s, so more summer-like than spring-like. We've definitely seen this surge of warmth moving in. The record 24, set back in 41. Today we hit a high of 22 degrees. Warm showers and thunderstorms have been moving through the area over the past 24 hours. That continues tonight, Carlyle. We've seen some strong storms in southern Ontario. The main threats, heavy downpours. A state of emergency has been issued in Manitoulin Island due to heavy rainfall, that saturated ground, the melting snow, and we could see some localized flooding in low-lying areas of southern Ontario as these storms come through. Now, the potential upwards of 30 millimeters of rain in some of these thunderstorms. Heading through the day tomorrow, potential for another 10 millimeters. So overnight, getting under some of these storms, dumping a lot of rain in a very short period of time. So what's happening is we have this stationary boundary that's strung out over the Great Lakes, north of the boundary on the cooler side, but south of it, temperatures soaring into the mid to upper 20s. So overnight, we're not going to see a big drop off. This warm surge of air creates lots of instability, leading to the rounds of showers and thunderstorms. So as we head into tomorrow morning, overcast conditions, but then we are expecting another round of storms to push through in the afternoon, and you can see quite unsettled. This pattern continues. The reason is nothing's moving. So as this stationary boundary waves its way over the Great Lakes, we'll see these ripples of low pressure riding along that boundary. Every time one of these ripples comes in, it generates these scattered showers, promotes that rising air instability, leading to some of these storms. So as we head through the overnight into Thursday morning, expecting another round. Temperatures tonight, 12 to about 15 degrees, a cool spot towards Wyerton at 6, but most of southern Ontario, temperatures higher overnight than our normal daytime highs. So extreme warmth expected once again through the day Wednesday. Chance of thunderstorms in the morning, mainly cloudy through the mid-afternoon, and then as we head towards late afternoon, early evening, we could see some strong thunderstorms. The daytime high at 21 degrees. Now, rainfall totals across southern Ontario will vary significantly. If you get under one of these heavy thunderstorms, those numbers jump quite quickly. As you can see, reading a total of 25 millimeters in London, but just north of London, some of those strong thunderstorms bringing upwards of 40 millimeters of rainfall. Showers and thunderstorms, as I mentioned, continuing on Thursday at 18, 16 on Friday. Mild to start the weekend, cool to end it. We'll dip down to about 5 degrees on Sunday, but the chance for showers drops off as well. Pattern shift early next week, back into a mix of sun and cloud Monday and Tuesday. Daytime highs from 6 to 7 degrees. Mild temperatures in Midwestern Ontario, but here on Perth to Grey Bruce, your temperatures will vary depending on how that front shifts. So just be aware of that. It might be a bit cooler towards the Bruce Peninsula, northern Grey and Bruce County. Showers and thunderstorms overnight, and then again tomorrow morning. A bit of a lull early in the afternoon, and then another round coming in. Same story on Thursday at 20 degrees. There'll be times where it's dry Thursday as well, but just be prepared. keep your umbrella handy as you head out the door. Chance of showers lingering into the early part of the weekend, but we'll start to clear out on Sunday. And we'll also see the temperatures dropping as we head into early next week. But we're back to sunshine Monday into Tuesday. Carlyle, back to you.
Thanks, Julie. Air Canada officials have announced a major redesign for their airplanes in the name of comfort. Geneviève Beauchemin has more on the changes and how they'll impact the cost of a ticket.
We're bringing the beauty of Canada to the sky.
Air Canada is calling it the most significant cabin redesign in its 90-year history. Passengers will catch a ride in the upgraded interiors, including the luxury of some lie-flat seats on long-haul flights. This aboard the company's new Airbus A321 XLR and Boeing 787-10 aircraft. The rollout will begin this summer, and all cabins will eventually see upgrades.
We've got 93 brand new aircraft on order. And the last time we came out with a new interior was about 10 years ago.
And the airline is borrowing from the national anthem and naming the project Glowing Hearted, leaning into Canadian themes. The comfy seat, big screens, larger overhead bins are a big investment, and the airline will no doubt need to pass on costs to travelers.
So it's not that those seats necessarily will cost more because of this, but we'll have more premium seats, which is really good for our business.
Still, it could squeeze out lower-cost seats, but analysts say the market is split between low-cost carriers and luxury brands, and Air Canada is finding its niche on some aircraft.
People are buying premium services. They're buying the premium tickets. So, I think that they're kind of figuring out that, the cattle call that we have in the back of the bus is something that they want to stay away from.
Privacy wings, big screens. Some frequent flyers say paying extra for extra luxury is the future of flying.
If you got a little bit more comfort and you're going to go that way, then yeah, that's the way you go.
Well, it just depends on what kind of budget you're on. Yeah, I can't afford first class or business.
Air Canada calls it a reimagined travel experience, and some analysts say the overhaul was long overdue. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
Welcome back. Before we go tonight, new video of the moment the Artemis 2 capsule was cracked open after successfully splashing down on Friday.
Say it. Yes! Let's go!
This is body camera footage capturing the cheers from inside the capsule and out. The crew, including local astronaut Jeremy Hansen, were welcomed back to Earth with handshakes, completing their 10-day mission around the far side of the moon. NASA officials had indicated the re-entry process was the riskiest element of the entire voyage, returning at extremely high speeds and temperatures. But each astronaut was reported in good condition once they cracked open the hatch. That's it for us. Thanks for watching. For all of us at CTV News London, I'm Carlyle Fiset. Have a good night.